Hello and welcome to the Oasis State podcast. My name is Zoe Rose Carey and I'm your host. Anyone that is tuning in, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the podcast and support this tiny little realm of the universe where I express myself. um, wow, I am incredibly nervous. This is the first time I have recorded a video podcast. So it's been a few weeks since I have recorded a podcast episode, and I will explain why in a moment. So, the nerves have kicked in, and I thought, why not just fully jump in the deep end instead of navigating the fear of people hearing me? Just put yourself in front of a camera and navigate the fear of being seen too. But yeah, I know there will be so much profound growth and fulfillment and everything after I record this. But for now, I am shaking. Um, but let's do it. Let's dive right in. This is episode 12 of the Oasis State podcast. And yeah, I'm just incredibly grateful to be here. As I mentioned, have been navigating a heavier chapter of my life over the past few weeks. And I just wanted to create this episode to share with my listeners and now viewers what I've been going through. And then later in the episode, I'm going to talk about understanding the balance between flow and consistency in our daily practice and kind of redefining what self-mastery is. Because I harp on about it, but I may have not dived deep into exactly what that means and what I'm preaching about. And I just wanted to create this episode to be hopefully a support and an inspiration for anyone that's navigating a heavy chapter in their life right now. If you've navigated a heavy chapter in the past and need some clarity and some closure from it, or this may be a tool for you in the future when you inevitably hit a heavier season of your life. So, let's get into it. Also, I just wanted to share this episode and my personal experience today because I just want to be authentic. I didn't want to navigate this chapter of my life and not share what was going on, and just jump back on and start sharing content without you guys knowing my personal experience, because I feel that, the educational side of what I have to offer is really, really powerful and impactful. But without sharing my personal experience with it, it won't land as well and it won't resonate with anyone. So I am really super always committed to embodying what I preach. And this is me in action doing that. So yeah, I'll just start from the beginning. At the end of August this year, my dad was diagnosed with leukemia, and it was obviously absolutely devastating to find that out. My dad has been quite unwell for the last period of his life, so I knew he wouldn't be around forever, but still, when the day comes, the inevitable phone call comes, it's still a shock. So navigating the inevitability part of it, a part of this chapter, and the surprise part of it is really interesting. And so he simultaneously was diagnosed with leukemia and caught COVID while he was in hospital. So we couldn't even, you get the most horrible phone call, one of the most horrible phone calls you could ever expect. And then to not be able to rush to his bedside because he went into hospital isolation for 6 days after the diagnosis was really, really hard. But I suppose in time I will become grateful for that space, because it allowed me time to process a really heavy piece of information. And I, had some unfinished business with my father, with my parent, and I was just catapulted into that, and I really had to look at some things that happened in my childhood and find peace with them, navigate forgiveness for myself and for my dad, and on top of that, navigate grieving. So it seems really unfair that he was diagnosed and we weren't be able to be with him, but at the same time, now I'm expressing it right now. I am grateful for that time to give myself a chance to be in the best position I could when I finally got to see him. So 10 days after his diagnosis, he passed away. Um, he was given 3 to 6 months to live, but chose to leave Earthside 10 days after. So to say it's been a heavy chapter is an understatement. And for anyone that has navigated grief, I have the utmost respect for you, because it's something I thankfully haven't had to navigate until now, to this intensity. And yeah, it's character building to say the least. It completely changes who you are, and I'm still navigating who Zoe is now. And we're changing every day, but it has just been such a transformative, deep, heavy period in my life. But this week I've kind of plateaued into a really great space of acceptance and peace. We had my dad's farewell on Sunday, so that was 5 days ago. So I think that the closure of that chapter has given me the energy that I've had this week to feel ready to sit down and share my experience with you guys. Articulating this experience was something that felt so impossible a few weeks ago, and I wasn't putting any pressure on myself to sit down and show up in any way, but just having that self-awareness every day and checking in with myself has been profound. And it might not mean much for some people, but having the lack of clarity and energy to express myself has really shown me how important it is to help me gain a sense of clarity, a sense of purpose. It's therapeutic for me. I get fulfillment from it. And being so deeply in a void and not knowing how to express myself was really disorientating. I'm really grateful for this period of acceptance and this renewed energy that I've had this week, because it just seems such a far cry away from the previous weeks. So yeah, I think Dad's farewell had something to do with that. Navigating the logistics after someone passes away, like cremations and organizing the farewell and reaching out to friends and family, it definitely takes its toll on you. And whilst you're navigating your own grief, and then on top of that, losing a parent just catapults you into so much healing and really invites you to look deeper into the root cause of the way that you interact with the world, what you believe in, how you see yourself, etc. So damn, it has been an absolute time. But thankfully, throughout it all, I've been able to maintain a level of understanding and an experience of gratitude, because it's an inevitable part of life. Like, getting into self-mastery doesn't mean that your life will be a smooth sailing ride and you're onwards and upwards all the time. That's unrealistic. So I'm really grateful for my natural interest and innate pull towards self-mastery, because I've really, really had the experience of how important it is to lean on that self-mastery, even in the completely debilitating, confusing chapters. So I wanted to talk as well about why I love self-mastery and how it's such a beautiful experience of stepping into our power and making self-mastery our own unique experience. So yeah, I'm not sitting here saying this is exactly how I've done self-mastery and this is how you should do it. I'm always an advocate for creating a space and inspiration for people to look at their own self-mastery journey and find the confidence and power to create their unique self-mastery experience, tools, and, as I like to call it, an ecosystem of these tools and understandings, rituals, habits, support systems that can help you navigate every season of your life. So yeah, I really feel like almost like Dad's ending, the end of his life, and this chapter and this change that I've gone through. I look back now and I'm like, wow, I just I feel like it was quite serendipitous, and a lot of things in my life, excuse me, oh, sorry, I'm very nervous. um, a lot of things in my life came together to support me in the best way possible to navigate this more debilitating chapter. And it's been such a time of profound growth and healing and transformation. So I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm finding a lot of peace and acceptance in, I feel like Dad was ready to go. Like, he could have held on for 6 months or more, but he'd been sick for a while. His mental health wasn't really there, and he kind of bottled all that up and shared it. And I can just imagine his experience with life wouldn't have been very optimistic. He wasn't really thriving towards the end of his life, and he chose to go. So I'm finding a lot of peace and clarity and acceptance in that. So yeah, I just feel like so many things in my life came together to support me through that. It wasn't about, oh, how do I get out of this? How do I keep him by my side, earth side, for as long as possible? How do I avoid that separation and surrender to what has happened? I had the most beautiful work-life balance that created the time and space for me to process things the way I desired to. I have, he's still with me, a beautiful partner that just went above and beyond to, yeah, again, help me process what has gone on. I got a beautiful dog that was like literally my support animal, like 24/7. Beautiful, amazing friends, and just living in a part of a world that helped me. And looking back, it was just so serendipitous. Like, if Dad had been diagnosed with this at another stage in my life, when I was stressed out with uni or didn't have the work-life balance that I've strived to have now, I would have just not been able to cope with it as well as I think I have. And that doesn't mean I haven't, been curled up in a ball crying till I could almost vomit with grief and sadness. But I have knowingly created a life that helped me to do that when I needed to. And I'm just so grateful for self mastery and understanding what I needed to do to best support myself through it. And like I said, it doesn't mean it's been a smooth ride, but it's been way smoother than it would have been before I have dived so deeply into understanding my unique self mastery journey. So for that, I am forever grateful. And yeah, that's why I wanted to segue into this next part of the episode to just really preach about how deeply we can be supported by understanding how to balance the flow and the consistency with our daily practices. Because I feel like on social media or in the personal development world, consistency is very heavily preached. And I am learning that there's actually a balance between consistency and understanding what we need to be consistent with every day, if that makes sense. But yeah, so as I mentioned, my definition of self mastery is committing to understanding how to create an ecosystem of various multifaceted tools, understandings, rituals, and habits that support you through the particular season that you're navigating at the moment. So the consistency part of it, excuse me, that I spoke of, is harped on about in the personal development world, for me, is the frequency of what tools we decide to utilize from our multifaceted ecosystem. So the consistency comes from the frequency of what we're doing, which is daily, and if not multiple times a day. And for me, navigating something so heavy in the last month or so, it's been multiple times a day that I've had to lean on a self-mastery tool to soothe my overactive mind, to process heavy emotions, and to regulate my nervous system when it felt like the world was falling out from underneath me. So yeah, the flow side of self-mastery is is learning to trust ourselves and how to relax into more of what we need to do every day. So yeah, that's the balance that I'm speaking of as I'm describing my definition of self-mastery and how and what I preach through Oasis State is the balance of consistency, which is daily, which should be daily, the frequency of what you're doing. Your self mastery practices should be at least daily, but the flow and the surrender comes in exactly what you are doing in that time that you've carved out for your self mastery practice each day. So, I think I just naturally wanted to explore this balance throughout the last month because there's periods of growth and planting seeds and exciting things happening in my business and my life. But I realized throughout this really deep chapter of healing and inner child's, connection and healing again, and getting to the root cause of a lot of things that were hindering me, which was activated by losing my dad and realizing that there was parts of myself that I was pushing away, parts of my childhood that I didn't want to deal with, that I couldn't utilize the same tools that I would to manifest a change and a leap in my business or to call in, a community, etc. Like whatever I was focusing on before this deep healing and surrender and processing of grief wasn't going to suit what I needed. So that's how I naturally leaned into exploring the balance. So as I mentioned, I was like, okay, well, I obviously still need a daily practice, but the practice needed to shift and it needed to change. So it was my job to familiarize myself with practices that resonated with what I needed in that moment. And that's why creating the ecosystem around you of support is so important, because I started utilizing tools that wouldn't necessarily help me, like I said, in a different season of growth and expansion and joy and manifestation, because I didn't need that. I needed support to forgive and to heal and to shift really, really deep, heavy shit. So yeah, that was how I learnt to navigate the balance that comes with daily practices. So the daily practices that I've had to rely on more so in this chapter were more soothing experiences. So stretching, having a cry on my yoga mat after I had a stretch, anything that would help me regulate my nervous system, plenty of time in nature, gentle movement, so walks again in nature, and meditation. I've always struggled to make meditation a daily practice, but I just needed it throughout this period. And you think you want to avoid sitting with what is simmering under the surface, but I was just like, oh, I can't take one more step or move forward without taking that time for stillness. And we get so scared of what's going on just under the surface. But for me, meditation was that invitation to really, really look at what I was navigating again just under the surface. So I'm incredibly grateful. Meditation will now be a consistent practice in my daily self-mastery. Whereas beforehand, it seemed like a time-wasting thing. It would be like, oh no, but I'm so inspired. I want to sit down and do some, conscious goal setting or some affirmations or some self-love practices. But throughout this time of being so raw and so lost, the meditation was just such a place of solitude and peace for me. So yeah, like I said, I never thought that would be able to become a daily practice. I definitely do guided meditations and binaural beat meditations, but I just pulled it back into actually, sorry, I don't know the name of it, but just a meditation where I held onto a mantra and brought my mind back to the present moment, because it was so overactive that I couldn't function. So yeah, I use for anyone that's interested in trying to navigate a daily meditation practice, I downloaded the meditation app called One Giant Mind, and it has a 12-step process where I think it goes for 15 minutes a day. And there's beautiful meditation teachers on there that help you myth bust about the expectations and the practice of meditation. And it's so incredibly user friendly. So I did that 12-step program. And then after, on the same app, it goes through a 30-day challenge, and you show up every day and you see little stars. And I think it's important when you are integrating a new daily practice to have those external rewards, like to see a little star pop up, or to see on the app it has like a hot streak of how many days in a row you've done it. And I really needed that to help motivate myself to sit down again and create a calm within the storm that was going on in this really heavy, profound time. So the nerves. So yeah, and it's just such a tool for me now. And I know meditation can kind of be presented in almost like this show pony way on social media. And for me, it was almost like a bit damaging of like, wow, look, that person set up an altar and they do this or that. And it looks like people meditate for like 2 hours a day, and they've got their incense and create this beautiful, profound space for them to feel safe as they do their practice. But for me, it was like, oh, but I just don't have time for that, or I don't have a nice space of my own to do that. So I just want to myth bust for you. The meditations that I've been doing daily were sometimes sitting at the end of my bed, and sometimes only for 10 minutes, but 10 minutes is better than nothing. And I really started seeing the profound changes of committing to at least 10 minutes a day, of training my mind back to the present moment through a mantra. So if you're thinking about integrating a daily meditation practice, it doesn't need to be this big showy thing. You could go to the beach and do it. I actually did it with my partner a few times on like a speaker rather than my headphones. Sometimes I did it laying down if I was just completely pooped, but the consistent part of it was that I did it daily. So I just wanted to remind anyone that's starting to create a new practice, it doesn't need to be Instagram worthy. You just need to do it, And yeah, it's been really profound for me. And it was really incredible how quickly I started seeing. For me, actually, the first thing I noticed with committing to daily meditation was how I was regulating my emotions more, and I wasn't so reactive, and I could breathe properly, and yeah, it was really cool. And I was like, oh shit, like I'm not reacting anymore, I'm responding. Even though my heart is in a million pieces and my inner child is just so scared and alone right now, it was like the meditation helped me identify the responsibility I needed to take more so than ever to connect with my inner parent and understand that, yes, this might have happened in my childhood. Yes, there was unfinished business with my father and forgiveness needed and complicated emotions and experiences and trauma there. But meditation was like this empowering experience to help me realize we can't just sit there and with your victimhood mentality. Like, it's okay to feel like a victim sometimes. Like, like my dad just passed away. I didn't need to explain anything to anyone. I literally did just have days where I couldn't get out of bed, where I would distract myself, where I would be watching reality TV episode after episode. And that in itself is a self-mastery experience, or not self-mastery, but like a mindfulness practice, because everything was so heavy and so intense all the time. I was just so broken. And it was so hard to keep up with life, that meditation really reminded me like there actually is stillness in every moment. And it really helped me connect with the need to understand it's my responsibility now to develop my inner parent, because my inner child was so triggered by the loss of my parent that I needed to step in. And I'm an adult and I'm a conscious, sovereign being with discernment and the responsibility, like all of us, to take charge of our experience with life. And really heavy things can happen to me and people throughout life all the time. And it's okay to feel like a victim and have to chill and lick your wounds. But there comes a point where if you want a better experience with life, you need to start stepping up and taking responsibility with your experience now. And that's what meditation actually taught me. And I'm so thankful for that. And yeah, it's been a really beautiful, profound experience. So like I said, I allowed myself the ability to surrender to exactly what my daily practice was, but I also trusted myself that it would be consistently a daily practice. But also simultaneously, the trust came from allowing myself to know thyself and giving myself permission to create a unique self-mastery practice every day. So, like I said, like looking at my business and personal goals didn't mean fucking anything while I was navigating grief, really, really heavy, deep grief and trauma. So it has been this really beautiful experience and highlighting for me that we need to always understand the balance of the frequency of our practice, but also surrendering to what that practice is. So for anyone that feels lost in their practice at the moment, maybe you're not actually utilizing the right tool from your ecosystem of self-mastery tools and rituals for the season that you are in right now. And it doesn't mean every day I'm like, one day meditation, one day mirror affirmations, the next day stretching, the next day breath work. It might mean seasonal things. So I'm just about a month into this season right now since Dad passed away, and I'm consistent in those practices of meditation, stretching, self-care. So regular visits to the local bathhouse in my area, to jump in the sauna, to jump in the steam room, to do cold plunges. So the benefits of hot and cold therapy, which are huge for detoxification, for nervous system regulation, etc. So I wanted to create this episode today to remind you to have the confidence to know thyself and create a self-mastery practice, an ecosystem that is unique to you. Because I am not in the same season I was in last month. I will not be in the same season next month. And this is not monthly, it just is the way my seasons are running right now. But just remember, like, your experience is your experience. So take what resonates from you, from this podcast, from other teachers, from books, from podcasts, etc. But trust yourself to leave the rest, because there is no point in you having a daily practice that does not resonate with the season of growth that you are in right now. So yeah, I just have some notes here on the side, and I wrote them a few days ago, so I'm not super familiar with them. So I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything before I wrap up this episode. But yeah. Yeah. And the last thing I want to say is don't, I suppose it's kind of leading on from that point. Like I said, if you see people on social media harping on about like, oh, I did, goal setting for 50 million hours today. Like, some days you will have entire days of space to do self-mastery, but often we are in seasons of navigating multiple things and commitments and schedules. So don't underestimate the potency of little actions, because it all adds up. So it might be going to bed half an hour earlier than you do usually. Don't underestimate the benefits of that deep rest that you're creating. Or if you're trying to eat healthier and support your physical self and emotional and mental, because your diet is related to all of that. We are holistic beings. Don't underestimate the decision to have a healthier option rather than an easier, quick fix food. So yeah, don't underestimate the potency of all of those little steps, because they add up. And I can't particularly tell you, so in my personal experience, I can't particularly tell you, oh, this was the exact moment, this particular 10-minute practice made me feel better. I know through my experience over the last month and ever since I've committed to self-mastery that it's all a culmination of everything that you do. And then you hit this point, it is so subtle and it's so beautiful, but you just like take a breath and you're like, oh my gosh, something shifts within you. And you know that you have, on a subconscious level or within your nervous system or within your heart, shifted something. So you will never know the exact practice. It might be in that moment you were practicing something that it shifts, but by no means did that one practice help you shift something. It is the commitment to the frequency of your self-mastery practices and every little practice that adds up. And then sometimes you can just be like walking around the shops doing your fruit and veggie groceries and you just like feel a million kilos lighter. Or if you're not in a season of healing and grief like myself, it might be this incredible download or idea that you're just like, what the fuck, that was actually just sitting there all the time. But all of those little practices to help you shift a limiting belief or build your confidence, or self-worth practices to embody those new ideas that you're trying to bring in, they will not recognize themselves in you until you become that version of yourself. And then you will be walking on the beach, like I said, or like at the shops, and you're like, oh my God, this is what I need to do. So on that note, I just want to leave you with those notes. Sorry. I like fully forget how to round up a podcast, but have the confidence to know thyself and to trust that you can create a unique self-mastery ecosystem that will support you through every season, not just the seasons of great abundance and wealth and harvesting all of your manifestations, but through the deepest, darkest times in your life. Self-mastery is your best friend and will always be your support network. But it is up to you to constantly redefine that network, including educating yourself around practices that might suit you, trying out the practices and shaking them up depending on what season you're on. So I cannot wait to dive deeper into all this work with you with my next Oasis State offering. I don't actually have an active offer at the moment because of what I've just gone through. I obviously couldn't hold the space to be launching and doing masterclasses and recruiting new clients. But all of this profound experience and growth and lessons that I've learned over the last few months has just given me more clarity and more potency for the messages that I'm going to, messages and support that I will be able to devote to my clients in my new program. So if this episode has resonated with you, this is kind of like, you know, an ethos around what I will be offering in active Oasis State offerings. So stay tuned. I'm not sure when it will happen, but I'm just surrendering into that beautiful process and trusting relationship that I'm co-creating with the universe. So as soon as my offer is ready, I will be really helping my clients in a more devoted and intimate setting to find the confidence to create their own unique self-mastery ecosystem. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for anyone that has stayed with me throughout this episode. Thank you for your support for previous episodes. And I really hope this has ignited some sense of compassion towards yourself, some form of enthusiasm for understanding your interaction with life, and been a companion that can support you and inspire you through every season of your life, because that's what self-mastery is. It is the companion that helps you through everything. So I hope me sharing my personal experience with self-mastery and defining my unique definition of it and experience of it today has helped you. Thank you so much for your support and connection. And I'll leave my contact details in the show notes and a connection to the One Giant Mind meditation app that I use if anyone's interested in giving it a go. But yeah, my contact details will be in the show notes or at the bottom of this video. And I would love to connect with you. Reach out to me. Share your experience. Let me know how this episode resonated with you. And I am so excited to connect with you on a deeper level through more podcast episodes, through my programs, and on social media. Thank you. And I love you. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Oasis State podcast.